This is your boy Dre. You're going to be watching a video that was filmed, possibly and or recorded for older channels of mine. So this is the Dre of the future telling you that the Dre of the past to enjoy the video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's different. A lot of y'all wanted some of my older school content, and since I'm going through the hard drive, finding some good gems for you guys to enjoy. All right, stay geeky, y'all. Peace.
No, I'm saying it's recording on my screen too.
It says recording?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm recording this call.
Oh, okay.
Privacy and legal issues, you know? You gotta let people know you're recording.
All right. So, take two. I'm your host, Dre. It's the Geek Depot, and this is your host,
Tommy.
All right. So, Tommy came up with this awesome idea for a top 10 list, and it was going to be like a top 20 list at some point with lots of edits, cuts, and everything. It's kind of down to a top 10 for both of us. And this list is comic book events. Now, this is going to probably be biased and skewed towards a lot of Marvel and DC titles, but this is an event series. So this is something that, and Tommy basically helped define it, anything that was affecting the entire universe for that comic series.
Yeah, it had to go outside of just the family of comics. So I wanted like Sinestro Corps War, but Sinestro Corps War is really just a crossover because it really was only in the Green Lantern books. So we wanted something that encompassed more than just the family books.
I'm biased. There's one that's staying on that list.
Oh, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah, it's further down my list, but yes. So we'll open up this with my number 10, and it's gonna go back into the early 80s, late 70s, Marvel Secret Wars. It was one of the first books that introduced the Beyonder. It also was a milestone book in introducing Spider-Man with a black costume. So for many comic book fans, it was a quintessential book. I remember actually having the original comic when I was a kid.
I mean, it is considered the first event, period, like the first comic book event. So that's understandable. I won't argue that. That's that's history. That's classics. Is what it is. I mean, at this point, a lot of you people that watch the show should know me, so you shouldn't expect much Marvel on my list. It's just not going to happen. Sorry, I apologize. I am ignorant. I am not super well, versed in Marvel. I mean, outside the Marvel Masterpiece cards from the early 90s, it's never really big into Marvel.
You're not as old as me. I just turned 40, so I got a little bit more years on you, so I had a little bit more time.
That's right, I guess. All right, so at number 10, I am going to start off with Court of Owls.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm not even going to argue.
I mean, again, it's one of those where it's like borderline. Is it really an event? Is it really just a really big crossover? I take the fact that it basically involved more than 2 books. There was several books at that point. I mean, you're talking Batman, all the Batmans, Batgirl, Nightwing,
Robin,
all of them. They were all involved in it. So I feel like once you get past 3 or 4 books, it's pretty much an event, So yeah, Court of Owls and the repercussions that Court of Owls had to, I mean, even the most recent event, Dark Knights. I mean, it was a great story, and it made me a Scott Snyder fan. Like, his writing, the dude could write Batman.
And it was an animated movie. It was a very, very good movie. And it actually was not 100% perfect, but still a damn good movie.
No, I wasn't the biggest fan of the animated movie.
Which is Son of Batman, because that's what they titled it. So it's not Court of Owls. Yeah. It's Son of Batman with the Court of Owls in the background.
It wasn't good. I wasn't a fan. Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinions. We all know. Don't hate, appreciate.
This is very true.
So number 9. This was actually not low on my list when I consider numbers, but I've considered on this list, it had to make the list, which is 52. I mean, it was quintessentially for when I got back into comics in 2008, I was living in Virginia, and that book series was what made me go back to reading weeklies. I was in the comic book store every week picking up a comic book, and 52 was on that list, and it made me appreciate all my heroes, introduced me to several new heroes and villains.
I am going to put at number 9, 52.
Woohoo! We agreed on something. That is a first on this show.
52 was an amazing series to me. It was one of those books where you either knew all these obscure characters they were throwing at you, or you wanted to learn about these all obscure characters. The fact that they went all the way back with Mr. Mind, and there were so many characters they brought back. The Metal Men, freaking Rip Hunter. There was so many nuggets of delicious goodness that you were just like, the fuck is that? You had to learn as you read it. Otherwise, you were just like, who are these people? I have no clue. It was one of the very few books that actually makes you read it and then like, well, I guess I need to read something else now too, because I have no context into who a lot of these characters are. And that was DC's point, was basically, let's give the big three, because this was the whole 1 year later thing. So this is basically a year of without the big three. The Trinity wasn't anywhere to be found. Batman was on a cruise with the kids. Wonder Woman, I forget what she was doing at the time.
Superman actually was trying to adapt to being a normal.
Yeah, because he didn't have his powers.
Yeah, because he actually had a bloody nose. I remember that was like what got me. When it was like you see like Lois go like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh no."
Yeah, because he lost his powers at the end of Infinite Crisis.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a masterclass in teaching you DC history. And I mean, the fact that Ambush Bug was in it, I love Ambush Bug. It's great. All right.
Number 8 for me. This is going back to my Marvel, and Marvel's going to be on this run for the next 5 things. So bear with me. Messiah Complex, hands down, probably one of the greatest X-Men events. I mean, I love the Phalanx Saga, and that's in my top 20. But this was like, if you were not a Cable fan, you became a Cable fan. If you wanted to understand the whole thing about where the X-Men is now, Messiah Complex is what got to where the X-Men are now. So I personally feel like if you wanted to be a fan, that's the book to read.
And it's funny, you can make the argument that that's just a crossover, but at that time there were so many X books, and it affected all these X books. You're talking, Jesus Christ, how many at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even go X-Men without the colors, because now we're in the 3, but we had like 5 X-Men books.
Like, honestly, I think one of the greatest thing Marvel ever did was just take the X-Men out of their books, because they were just so oversaturated with X-Men books. Like, the fact that Wolverine was in like 4 books, and not even just like a bit character, he was like the lead character in like 4 books before, they pulled it. You know what? Good on you, Marvel. You got your characters back, and now we can expect a crap ton of X-Men titles again. Sure.
That was my number 8.
Number 8. I'm gonna go obscure for you guys. This one's gonna be obscure. This is for the true comic book fans that just read everything. And this is Artifacts. This was an event by Top Cow Comics, which basically rebooted the entire Top Cow universe. So you had Witchblade, The Darkness. There's so many. I haven't read it in a couple years, but it was my introduction to that whole universe. Like, I remember the Witchblade TV show. It was crap. Didn't care for it, But it was so well done. The fact that they used this, Jesus, what was it? It's like 24 issues, I think. But, they used that to basically reboot the entire universe, and it was masterfully done. It was done really well. And, yeah, it's, to this day, one of my favorite event comics.
If you don't know, Top Cow when it went under is now under the umbrella that is all Image now. So, which is owned by DC. So, it's no longer like an independent comic.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, how long has it been since Top Cow was out? But
that was like 2003, 2004.
No.
No, that was the last time I remember Top Cow was around.
Yeah, no, they were around much later. I mean, crud, hold on. Oh, now you're making me fact check. This was printed. Yeah, just so y'all could see. Not playing. I actually have all 4 trades. Right, 4 trades? 3 trades maybe. 3 trades, sorry. You know what? This is not making very good watching material, and I apologize for that, folks.
Oh no, we still have fun.
But anyway, it's in the 2010-ish range. It's probably 2013, 2014. But yeah, it involved all the characters. It was masterfully done.
All right.
Highly recommended.
I definitely have read it, and I'll give it 2 thumbs up. Now, for me, my number 7 is going to lead into my number 6. So this number 7 has there was a thought process behind my list. So number 7 is Secret Invasion. Now, if you hadn't read the preceding title, which I won't tell you, obviously, if you know, we'll know what 6 is. Secret Invasion was just one of those Marvel events that a lot of fans hated on, but it spawned probably one of the greatest books I loved in that series, which was Dark Avengers. I mean, having all the villains, minus 2 on the team, which was Sentry and Hercules, go on a whole, like, we're stopping villains because we're villains. And they went to hell, they fought Mephisto, they fought Doom. At the same time, Doom's in hell trying to get magic. I mean, it was a great line. Probably, and it's funny because a lot of people hate Secret Invasion, what was going on.
Yeah.
I was like, well, put that aside. Read the other shit that's
I will forgive you.
It's like, I'll forgive you for Dark Avengers. Thank you. But yeah, that's my number 6. That's my number 7.
Okay. My number 7 is Final Crisis. A lot of people will say that the book made no damn sense, and you know what? You may be right. It is in general. Crud, what's the name I wrote it now? Morrison. Morrison wrote it, and it's a Morrison piece. You have to read it 2 or 3 times, do some research, study the occult, pop some acid, come back to it. On the 5th time,
drugs, but
it will all come together.
Meditate, hit that Zen, ring some bells, get some of the rose bushes.
I enjoyed. I mean, it's it was the book to kill Batman, even though they had to bring him back. But
he didn't really die. He got sent back in time, and then he had to relive his life. We're not gonna go through that.
No, he died. He died. DC live with the fact that he died.
I never will. That's
okay. That's why they did the whole, the battle for the cowl. Anyway.
This was a great book.
Yep, no, that was I enjoyed that. Like Damian and Grayson, hilarious together.
And Jason Todd and Dick were those 2 fights.
That was great, but to me, my favorite scenes in Battle for the Cowl were basically Dick and Damian just trying to get along. But
they had that great series in Batman and Robin when they did that later after that, which I thought was even better.
Yeah, it was, because they were less contentious in those. But in the very beginning, it was just like, Damien's like, who the hell are you to tell me anything? Like, you're a punk. I can kick your ass right now.
I love it. He was like, it's me, not you. He might have trained you, but I'm his son.
Yeah. So, Final Crisis.
All right. Number 6. Now, obviously, like I said, number 7 was Secret Invasion. The lead-in story, Civil War, number 1. Now, the only reason this made my list as a huge event book was not only did it span and put what became in the MCU as the Sokovia Accords, it is the quintessential Marvel book that even if you weren't a fan, it made the news because it ended with the death of Captain America. I mean, it is probably one of the greatest Marvel series in the modern era. I mean, now, I can say.
I was just gonna say Captain America didn't die at the end of it.
Yeah, he got shot. No, he got shot.
No, he didn't. He went to prison. Remember, because he gave up. He was about to kill Iron Man, and then people were like, "No, Captain,
no, he was on the way to
do it."
Oh, you didn't? No, Before
That
Secret Invasion, there was a bunch of stuff, and he gets
yeah,
shot.
yeah. That's after. It's technically
And that's
not
why I
in
said it
Civil War.
ends. It
Yeah, Civil War would have been in my list if it wasn't for that incredibly cop out of an ending.
well,
That
see, for
ruined
me,
the whole book for me. I'm sorry.
honestly, what brought me into the light was seeing Spider-Man get the Iron Spider suit. I thought because I'm a teacher, you know, the blowing up of the bus was a huge thing. You know, it changed the New Mutants, not New Mutants, the New Warriors, and they were a lesser known comic book hero team. And, you know, it brought up a lot of great stuff. And then it ended, like, the middle of that arc, Thor coming back after they had Ragnarok, the robot Thor. I was like, you cannot argue that Thor was, like, firmly in Cap's camp. He's like, nah, you made a fake version of me, Tony. And then that's why I say Secret Invasion, because Tony then thinks he's a Skrull and he's not a Skrull, but everybody thinks he did that massive conspiracy, and then Osborn just steps in and is like, I'm the president. I got your backs.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Civil War very much so. But again, the ending is what ruined it for me. Like, I was just like, I can't. That felt like such a cop out that I was just like, really? Like, you could have done it like 1,000 other ways. Oh, maybe not 1,000 other ways, because people have been like, how else would you end it? You know what? I don't know, but I don't get paid to write comics. That's all I got to say.
True. So that was my number 6.
Number 6. I'm going to go with the book that made Hal Jordan evil. Emerald Twilight, where he kicked Superman's ass, destroyed the Green Lanterns, and basically is indirectly the reason Kyle Rayner became a Green Lantern, because there was no one left. He killed everyone else. I mean, Hal, to me in general, is probably my favorite comic book character. Like, he's a pilot. I always wanted to be a pilot ever since I saw Top Gun. You know, he's basically Maverick, but with a ring and not his pretty boy.
His girlfriend's super hot and she's crazy.
She is. But yeah, Emerald Twilight, the beginning of the explanation of the history, well, not the history of the Green Lanterns, but the taking them from a lesser known book to the juggernaut of a book that they are today.
I mean, they are, yeah. They're within the top 5 books in comics now. Like, it is.
Yeah, no, and before that, they were a joke. Before Jeff Johns, they were a book that could never be sustained. Like, they'd have a book for like 2 years, and then it would go away, and then they'd put like Brave and the Bold and this, that, and the third. But this is actually the genesis of the Jeff Johns story that basically brought Green Lantern to what it is today.
And into the Green Lantern Corps, which is probably one of my favorite. It's on my top 5 books that I'm reading now.
No, it's great. It's good stuff.
Ooh, man, this is a juggernaut of a list right now. So number 5, the halfway point of this list. So I had to go with a big one, and this was tied into what Heroes Reborn, because I had to think about, like, Heroes Reborn came like a couple years later, and it was tied into, like, Marvel needed a reboot, and they were going through like amalgam where they had the DC Marvel crossover. And I was like, ooh, that would be a good one, but I didn't want to add that one. I did Age of Apocalypse.
Okay.
Age of Apocalypse, again, another X-Men storyline that rejuvenated the X universe. It covered a lot of things that people felt were not really discussed in the X-Men books, like the whole love triangle between Scott, Jean, and Wolverine. It covered a lot of like new characters, and it even birthed Blink as a mainstay character because she was the only one to survive. Now Bishop eventually later on he goes a little crazy because he's the only one not affected by the whole retconning, which came later.
Yeah. Okay.
Same with Blink if you think about it in that regards.
Yeah. Okay. I won't argue that. Apocalypse is always cool. I like Apocalypse. I like the Four Horsemen. That goes back to my old X-Men cartoon days. Big fan of Archangel. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right. So at number 5, I'm going to throw my Marvel folks a bone. AVX. Now, I know some people may hate me for this because this, led to the whole soft reboot of the Marvel Universe. But, I enjoyed the book. I liked Cyclops taking a bad turn.
They literally gave him one eye.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. You know,
Yeah, his whole team was all
like
it
it was
his whole
nice.
team was all evil.
It was nice for the Avengers to actually acknowledge that, holy shit, there's mutants in our universe. Because I mean, before that, like, you never really saw mutants in the Avengers books.
Not true. There
Very
were
rarely.
2 Avengers that were mutants.
Yes, but
Wolverine
outside of that,
and Beast.
you would almost never see them.
Well, Scarlet Witch too, and Quicksilver if you count them.
Yeah, but outside of that, you would almost never see them. Like, they'd almost be rarely acknowledged that mutants were a part of, you know, the Avenger universe. Like, it was almost like 2 separate things.
No, I can agree with that.
Yeah, so AVX, appreciate it, like it. Led to one of my favorite Marvel, I mean, it created the reboot for one of my favorite Marvel books, which was the Hawkeye book. That Hawkeye book was amazing. If you never read it, read it. It was great.
Good.
It's just it's Hawkeye being Hawkeye on his days off from the Avengers. Great book.
It's solid. So number 4. Now this is where I go to DC, and we're gonna return back to Drace why he loves DC so much. Death of the Family. It is some people consider this a Batman event. I had to do a little bit of homework on it. It's not. It is something that spanned every Batman book from Batman and Detective Comics all the way through to Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
And it covered so much. It was a great book. It was dark. It was what I wanted and what I expected a gritty Batman story to be.
No, it was solid. I especially love the way where it's like, you know, all of them just leave him at the end, because in general, it's hard to love Batman because Batman gives you nothing. He expects everything, but he gives you nothing. Like,
and they've been trying to do that in the cartoon universe, and I'm liking that a lot. Like in the animated movies, like even they kind of make when Bruce Greenwood or Kevin Conroy does the voice acting, it really does give you that exudes like, I don't need you, you need me, but I need you now, and then you can go away.
Yeah, I'm Batman, you're not. Kick rocks.
Pretty much.
Okay, so at this point, I am going to go Dark Knight's Metal.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great book. It brought us the Joker. It brought us all these evil Bruce Waynes. Like, the Joker that laughs, to me, it's so iconic. He's such a great character. Yeah. The Green Lantern Batman is freaking insane. The Bryce Wayne, the Aqua Girl or Aquaman version of Batman, awesome. Doomsday Batman, not my one. Like, I liked him, like, but like, honestly, out of all the villains, Doomsday Batman, Cyborg Batman, and Flash Batman were the weakest. But the other ones, I loved the design. I loved the way their personality was created. It was enjoyable. I appreciated that, especially like the Ares Batman. Ares Batman was so badass.
Now, see, it's funny because I noticed that Tommy had put that as his number 4.
Wasn't it 5?
No, we're at 4. Yeah.
4, yeah.
So now we're getting into the top 3, and
you should know what's in my top 3.
Well, I already know what's in my top 3, and it's kind of ironic. So you might hear some duplications from the top 4, but my number 3, Blackest Night. Okay. I know for me, it was when I was in Virginia reading comic books again. It was by far one of the best books at that time, and it's transcended. It is something that still comic book fans and even new comic book fans read, and they're like, "Oh my God, this really happened!" Like Batman's skull spewed up black rings, and I mean that was by far one of the greatest moments I've ever seen. Flash running with Green Lantern into the future, 5 minutes to avoid dying. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was fantastic. It birthed all the new Lantern Corps, and they're staying strong. It's like really the Red Lanterns who made it into Injustice. Same with the Orange Lanterns and obviously Sinestro Corps. So like they're the villainous ones. Now, granted, the Blue and the Star Sapphires could have stayed there, but again, you know, it was I consider it one of the best books of this era.
So, any of you that have heard me talk about this series, just know that this is coming back up on the list. And I will go more in depth into actually how long Jeff Johns set this up and how masterfully he set this up. But I'm not going to do this one on your pick because because it's now my turn.
I know. I
My
know.
turn,
That's my
Dre.
number 3. What's yours?
Number 3, the original DC Universe reboot, Crisis on Infinite Earths. The original death of Supergirl, the iconic cover of Superman holding her as she's dead, the death of Barry Allen, the death of however many worlds you want to put it, because at that time it wasn't limited to 52. But, you know, you lost, oh man, it was such a great book. From the story arc of like Pariah, who is, you know, destined to just watch worlds die, but he could never intervene. The Monitor versus Anti-Monitor, and the team that was put together, the team of people that you really, I mean, you knew, but you didn't expect that. You didn't expect, like, you know, we're going to take Superman from Earth 2. We're going to take Captain Boomerang. You know, like all these other people, you're just like, wow, this is not the team I was expecting to be put together. But it was a great book. It was done masterfully well. It, like I said, it was the original reboot. It gave us basically what, Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth X, I think is what it became afterwards, where they put like Shazams and the other one together. It was a great book, and if you haven't read it, read it. Yes, the art style is dated. Yes, the wording is extremely dated. It is wordy as a bitch. You are going to be reading probably more than you've had if you haven't
novel,
read.
the graphic novel.
It is wordy, but it is a good book, and it's done well, and there's a lot of twists and turns, and it's fun. It's fun. That's all I can say.
That's a good one. I mean,
can't say no more. It's a fun book, man. Fun book.
number 2.
Dose?
I had to think, and it wasn't that hard to think, because again, we're going to go back to Marvel. And I haven't mentioned it. It hasn't been mentioned on this list at all, but it had to make at least number 2, Infinity War.
Okay.
No, sorry, not Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet. I'm going to be more specific.
Yes.
I'm going to go
Infinity War is its own thing.
Yes, because Infinity War is its own book, and then there's Infinity Countdown, which is currently going on. I'm going to go back to what started me in I remember going to Dragon's Den in New York. This is how old I was. The comic book store I used to go to, and I remember seeing this guy on the cover with this gauntlet with all these gems on it, and all the superheroes just kind of huddled beneath them. And I was like, they called it the Marvel event. It like said it right at the top of the book. So I was like, all right, I'm going to check this out. And it blew my mind. My teenage mind, I think, is how old this was. I must have been reading it. And I'm just sitting there, thumbing through, hearing of heroes I'd never heard of, and then seeing heroes go up against this, what people call Thanos now is the Mad Titan. Yeah, the movie Brolin did a great job talking about it.
Great job.
And I mean, he read the comic and he actually felt it.
He is very Thanos, yeah.
But Thanos in the comics is just, he really didn't care. No. He just, I'm going to take over the universe, and this is what I'm going to do. And the Watcher, who was a character from the What If universe, is sitting there watching Thanos go up to gods like eternity and just tell him, like, yo, deuces, I got this. Because he had a gauntlet that can control the entire Marvel universe. Kills a group of heroes. And then a group of heroes rise up, like Tommy said, that were not people that people knew. Maybe minus the Silver Surfer.
I mean, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is biggie.
It was a motley crew of heroes to come together to battle Thanos and beat him. And you really didn't beat him because at the end of the series, he's sitting there and he smirks. Like, it was like, oh, wait. Like that teaser trailer, like, they're going to come back. He's like, I'm going to come back. And he's like, I am. And I was like, this is by far quintessentially for Marvel a lead-in book that you need to read.
Okay. So, number 2. Big fan of Crisis, Dre. I don't know if you noticed this by now.
I swear, you having a crisis? Do I need to have do we have to have an intervention for your crisis?
I'm having an infinite crisis, Dre.
I knew
Infinite Crisis.
I knew that was making this list.
Oh, how could it not? Infinite Crisis was great. It was basically, It continued upon the story of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It showed you, it gave you an evil Earth 2 Superman. Like, it was great. So you had Alexander Luthor, who was the good guy in Crisis on Infinite Earths, becoming the bad guy, and then Superman being twisted by him because, you know, we gave our lives to save this universe, and now look at what they've done to it. And then Lois is dying. His Lois is dying. Earth 2 Lois is dying. So, you know, they go ahead and break reality. And this gives you the original Superman. Now, the Superboy you see in Infinite Crisis, and you'll see later on in other honorable mentions I speak of, you have to understand his powers. He is technically the Superman of our world. And his powers are unlimited. There's not a single Superman anywhere that can stand up to him. He can move, he has the original powers of Superman. Like if you read the old Supermans, the ones that could move planets, and basically he was just unlimited in anything he could do, that's who Superboy is. Superboy killed, like his battle against the Teen Titans when he's just killing them accidentally. He's not even trying. Like the scene of him just like smashing faces, and he's just like crying while he's doing it. He's like, why are you making me do this? And he's not even meaning to kill these people, but he's so powerful that they can't stop him. No one can stop him. The entire, like, it was Teen Titans, I think JLA was involved, Green Lanterns were involved. No one could stop him. No one. Absolutely not. Superboy is the goddamn man. That's the one where basically Wally West, Jay Garrett, Barry Allen, and Kid Flash at the time. They all had to run together to push him into the Speed Force because no one could stop him. No one could hurt him. All they could do was get rid of him. And if you haven't read it, read it. It's great. It's one of the few crises where you don't need super much information before going into it. Maybe a little bit. But like you'd probably have to read Crisis on Infinite Earths. But you know, it brings back the multiverse. It's a good book, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. It led up to 52. It's the book that basically was the genesis of 52. You know, the whole 1 year later series that came out after it. It's all because of Infinite Crisis. And it was done well. It was done extremely well. All right, Dre. Time for these honorable mentions, man.
I'm going to do one honorable mention, and then this is simple. I'm going to go in.
Do our honorable mentions first. We're not doing number one right away. Honorable mention. Okay.
No, my honorable mention simple, and I'm not going to even go into too much detail about it because it's currently going on. Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock is, if you haven't read DC, it's by far, I mean, the artwork's fantastic. It is not even a retcon. It's going into the current, what happened after Flashpoint Paradox. So if you haven't read Flashpoint Paradox, which didn't make my list, top 20, I would, yes. But in this, if you know what happened in Flashpoint Paradox, with Dr. Manhattan basically saying, hey, I was bored, I messed up your universe just for fun, and Batman finding out that Dr. Manhattan had, long before Flashpoint, had designs on screwing up the universe, and that now the clock that was stopped ticking is now ticking. And every book is just, it makes me revert back to what Tommy and I said, we're doing a Watchmen episode. Doomsday Clock's gonna get mentioned more in that. And that's my honorable mention.
So Doomsday Clock, I will not argue that in the slide. I just will not put it on a list of top anything until I see the ending. I mean, because again, it's just like with Civil War. I enjoyed Civil War so much until that ending, and I was just like, oh, really? That's what we're going to do. No, Cap, don't do it. No, not about that life. Anyway, honorable mentions. I have dos.
You get one. You get one. We always get one.
¿Por qué?
Because it's our show and we only get one.
Okay, fine.
You got to pick, man. We got to do more. We got to give the fans. We got to save it for another episode, man.
I wanted to give them more. Fine. This is what we're going to do then. Another book that I would love to do a review on one day, Dre. And people can argue that it's a crossover. Fine. I took it off my list because I thought it was a crossover, but God damn it, it deserves to be mentioned. Sinestro Corps War. Such a great book. The return of Superboy. The return of the Anti-Monitor. The creation of the Sinestro Corps.
Can't argue that.
And not to mention, it's also where the Green Lanterns got their ability to kill from. Before that, they couldn't kill, but because of the Sinestro Corps, the Guardians gave the okay that you can kill Yellow Lanterns, and that's what they're doing. And it's a great book. If you haven't read it,
Okay.
you have to read it and the lead up. There is so much work done prior to Sinestro Corps War, prior to 52, from the beginning of Jeff Johns' run until then, where he's basically slowly introducing the cores, slowly bringing up the dilemmas that basically the prophecy of Blackest Night. It is great. The War of Light, the whole prophecy of the War of Light. If you have, please do me a favor. Anyone that hasn't read it, go read it. Read it in its entirety. I have the entire Jeff Johns run, and it's long, but it's great. Do it. Do it now.
Not right now, because you got to watch our show. So, number one for me, and Tommy already mentioned it at number 4 for him, and my number 1, and I'm not going to even speak anymore. I can't really talk even a whole lot about it, because I think it's just, it's Batman for me, and you all know this show, I'm a diehard Batman fan, and it's some of the bonding factors between Tommy and I. And Dark Knight's Metal is, I mean, what got me was, and I remember telling Tommy this, I said, I remember seeing a guy cosplaying as a Joker Batman. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, who's that? And then it triggered this thought process of, let me research. And then I went to the comic book store and I started picking them up.
Oh, wait. Wasn't there a certain Caucasian gentleman that was speaking up this comic book series that made you go get it?
Yes, there was a certain Caucasian
gentleman. Handsome gentleman that's wearing a headset and one eyebrow raised currently at the moment? That's right.
Point right. Yeah. The current co-host of the show. He told me to read it, and he was absolutely right. He's like, you're going to probably say this is one of your best. It is hands down one of the best I've read. I actually have all the medals. I'm only missing 2 of the foil covers, and I read them online because Tommy's like, don't even take them out of the plastic. Leave them in there, and I'm going to be framing them. And that's like mic drop. I can't even say anything more about it. Just, if you haven't read it, the graphic novel just got released a month ago, and it's like $25. Damn good read. Pick it up.
The villain tie-ins are amazing. Like
the hero tie-ins, just everything. I mean, the artwork to the story to everything.
I love the story of the Batman that laughs. That origin of the Batman that laughs is to me great. The
Harley.
A lot of the villains that they did were just so. It made you understand like what happened and why they did what they did. You know, from Red Racer to not Red Racer. What did Batman call himself? Red Death.
Yeah, the Red Death.
Yeah, like outside the Cyborg one. The Cyborg one to me was pretty but
yeah, it was wah, but I mean, you guys will read this and comment below and tell us what you guys think so far. That's number 1.
That was a fun one, but to me,
I know what Tommy's number 1 is, so I ain't gonna even say nothing. But I'm just gonna go like this.
My number 1
is
Blackest Night. Blackest Night. It was the culmination of like 4 years of work in which such a great story with such compelling tie-ins, and each arc, no matter which book you read, had something that spoke to the DC historian and the current DC fan. There was all these dead characters who've been dead for some of them like 20 years that were coming back, you know, like I got interested in the book by a t-shirt my brother-in-law had, and then he bought me the book for Christmas. And before that, I can be honest with you, this was probably 2011, probably more like 2010. I've probably read like a handful of comics before that. After that, I was a fiend. I collected every issue of The Blackest Night. I have all of it, all the trades. I have all of it. There's not a single issue I'm missing. And then after that, I went back and collected all of Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern. It is a great piece of writing, and it is a masterful retcon of Green Lantern history. To basically take all these things, all these like little weird strands of history that have been dropped over the years, and saying, oh, well, this is why the Green Lanterns were weak to yellow light. And this is why freaking, oh, crud. Anyway, but there's so many, why Hal Jordan went crazy and killed everybody because he was possessed by Parallax, which is the entity of fear. And then you go into all the different entities of all the different colors, and then you get into the White Lanterns. It was done well. It was done so well. I mean, it's why I'm a huge Jeff Johns fan, and why I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, and an Ethan Van Sciver fan, because God damn it, those pages drawn by Ethan Van Sciver are so fucking sexy. And Yvonne Reese. Let me not forget Yvonne Reese.
It's just a fantastic. I think by far it's one of the best reads you'll ever. Like I said, of the modern era, this definitely is something you need to get your hands on.
It's too far for me to reach, or I'd start pulling them all down, but they're out of my reach.
But you can see, but as you can hear the passion in his voice, this is exactly why the Geek Depot, why our show exists.
Yeah.
It exists specifically for us to be. look at how he can't even he's reaching. But I'm gonna tell you something. This is why comic book fans that are interested in what they're interested in collect what we collect because it's important. We love what we love because the books that draw us in.
All of them. All 5 trades.
That's not a fan that loves his stuff. I don't know what is, folks. I mean, like I said, we are collectors for a reason. We got into something, and this is when he told me how the impassioned plea. And this is something funny. It was shortly after I met Tommy, almost 4 years ago now. Tommy, you realize that 4 years I've known you.
Yeah.
And 4 years ago, this conversation is what bridged our friendship. I was like, man, this guy.
That and Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny. But let's not say Destiny. We don't want to claim that. We'll wait till Forsaken, then we'll talk about that. But in all honesty, 2 nerds get together and realize we had that in common.
Yes, indeed.
So here, folks, did you like our lists? Again, it's a good list between the 2 of us, but we want to know your list. So
whose list is better? Choose. Choose, followers.
Team Dre?
Choose.
Team Tommy. Who do you want? Team Dre or Team Tommy? Comment below on whose list is better. The Wookiee, hashtag cool Wookiee with glasses, or hashtag Cap Shield. Whichever you guys want. Hashtag Dre, hashtag Tommy. Whichever one you guys, just comment below. I'm interested to see whose list is better. Obviously, if you guys, we obviously love you guys.
Obviously, it's mine.
See, look, he's gonna keep talking smack. But we all know it's Dre because it's just me. Let's say it like that. But in any event, we are still on our quest to 100. We are 33 subscribers away from that number, and we're getting there. So what does that mean, folks?
Chugging uphill. Chugging.
We need you guys. We need you guys to hit that sub. If you have a friend that's interested in like nerdy stuff and you argue, use our show as like that barometer. Be like, hey, I check these guys out. All right, we're gonna be I'm gonna try to do a live stream before I go to Rally SuperCon. I'm gonna try, but I'm gonna talk to Tommy about that stuff. Anyway, just in case you guys are interested, hit that little bell to let you all know when our videos are up, and subscribe, like, dislike his list, like Dre's list. Or other way around. I mean, y'all can dislike my list and love his list, but again, hashtag Dre if you love my list, hashtag Tommy if you love his.
I mean, I won't lie. You'll probably get it because you had more of a rounded. Mine was just like, it's DC, and it's more DC.
I would have gone Valiant.
More DC.
I was tempted to go Valiant, but I didn't. So, my friends, it's another episode. This is a great one. I love doing this stuff. We're going to do more of these things. And our 100th episode is going to be filmed like this.
We're going to do our top 100 characters.
We should.
Marathon.
Actually, we should make that a live episode.
I'm not doing 100 characters live. Jesus Christ.
No, we will do like a top 20 list like live.
I guess
That way we can get some people in and we get some comments and stuff. You know what? Actually, what would you guys like to see us do for our 100th episode? I'm interested. We have enough subscribers now. Let's see what you guys see. We hit up social media. We can do a Q&A episode. Why? What? Something that we haven't done at all. I would love to do a live stream. Tell us what you guys want for the 100th episode. We'll consider it. All right? As always, it's Dre.
And it's Tommy.
Stay geeky, my friends. Peace.
Laters.